A big week in Washington. I say a big week. There was a test vote on the infrastructure. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, strictly among party lines. I mean, we are looking at trillions of dollars, literally, and it's just amazing the reckless tax and spending spree that the Democrats have been on. And we've just got to have a true infrastructure bill because it is so badly needed, but we've got to be responsible at the same time.
What are some of the stumbling blocks? Because I think they're refusing to take some of this stuff out. And it is just a non-starter, or should be a non-starter for the Republicans, and I don't blame them for party lines because some of the stuff in here is nothing but political war chest or campaign stuff for them.
Well, and that's the key thing here is we haven't seen the final text. And, we all went down to the floor and voted and said, you have got to show us everything that's in there. No one can vote on something when you haven't seen the final text. And we know what they're capable of. So we just have to take very careful steps here. And Schumer is wanting to do this in the next 2 weeks. So we will see what Monday holds when we get back into D.C., but it's right now they're hiding things from us. We're not sure what's in there, so we're not going to vote for something until our negotiators can sit down and negotiate with them to something we can live with.
Do you guys is it normally done with Republicans in charge and Democrats where, regardless of who's in charge, that you would vote on something as big as a big economic bill, a financial bill, without seeing the entire text?
They're trying to pull it now, and it's, I'm sure, been done before. But, we don't know what games that they're up to. But they wanted to roll it out there to see if they could get, that one vote to change things, and it didn't happen. And, yes, supposedly it's a negotiating process, and then the Democrats have just decided this is their baby, and they're going to do what they want to do, and it's like, are you going to vote for it or not? And we obviously know that's not the way things work.
Yeah. Is it strictly along party lines? Is there even Manchin's not holding out on this one?
That's it, strictly party lines.
When do you think the vote's going to happen next week, or will there be a vote next week?
Probably not. I would be surprised. We have an August break coming up, and since I've been there, I have found the closest, they want to hold it close to a break when everybody is ready to get out of there and get onto their schedules in the state. And so I'd be surprised if it's next week, but who knows what can happen, in the situation that we're in.
I had a cut here, and I was looking for that cut where Biden was asked about, aren't you worried about what's going to happen with this as far as inflation's concerned? Because we're throwing money head over heels, and we're just printing them off, and somebody's got to pay for it sooner or later. And he says, no, his esteemed economists are telling him that this will help inflation in the long run. And it's amazing what people will assimilate as fact from hearing it from somebody on the left. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Totally the opposite. And right now, inflation is really on everybody's mind because, when you stop to fill up your car with gas and you look at that, and when you go, to a restaurant, you can't get waited on for a long time because they're so aware of what the Democrats have done with the $300 plus up, with the unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
But inflation is really on everybody's mind, and I think that, they are feeling a lot of pressure from that because just the basic fundamentals of economics has to work. And when you stimulate beyond stimulation, that's what makes it not work. So we've got to look at a long term here, and we're just trying to make it less bad. We're trying the votes that are coming to the floor. We're just trying to try to control things until possibly we could take the majority of the Senate or the House back.
And we're speaking with U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. Senator, it is as simple sometimes as bad cop, good cop. bad parent, good parent, playing it like one parent saying, yeah, let's just spend it. We'll worry about it later. We'll go on a vacation to Disney. We don't have any money. We'll put it on the credit cards. And the other parent looks like the bad parent saying, no, well, as a matter of fact, we can't do this. We'll just have to stay at home. And that happens. I know that sounds simplistic, but it seems like not only on a state basis in places like California, but in Washington, how much more can we give you that you will vote on this? California Governor Gavin Newsom, and I think it was Monday or Tuesday, he signed a housing and homelessness funding package that was worth millions upon millions of dollars, where he is actually paying people in a way to come. We should have every state. Mississippi should have of some spots on the air saying, "Look, if you're poor in Mississippi and you're not getting enough, now's the time to move to California." And in as far as Joe Biden's concerned, and we just talked about this earlier this morning, is that we just learned that those checks for your children, those child care checks, come with a little stipulation. They're not like stimulus checks where you don't have to pay them back. These are coming out of your income tax refund if you get one. Do you think that's been made clear to the public?
Again, it is such reckless tax and spending spree. And since we've been on this pattern, the public does not see that. They think this is, as they call it, free money.
Yep.
And, anything that they can get out there to say this is what, the Democratic Party is doing for you at the moment is all they're looking for.
There was a speech he gave last week about gun control, and I think it was last week or earlier this week. And it was a little scary, some of the things that they're talking about as far as gun control is that he wants to do. But you can't pin him down on that either.
No, and there's, a lot of chatter constantly on the Hill about that. And the drastic measures that they want to take on gun control matches the drastic measures that they want to take on all of this spending as well. It's nothing, we could I would ever consider at all.
You start thinking about it, and I said this earlier this morning, when Donald Trump made a statement, it was taken out of context for the most part, and they beat him up on that statement incessantly for months and months and months. Joe Biden says something absolutely stupid, and it's wisdom.
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Can you imagine Trump making that statement?
Oh, it would be, media heyday on it. But you're exactly right. They are never held accountable.
Yeah.
They don't get called out for anything. And now it is just so one-sided. And comparing it to the last administration, it is pretty incredible.
Now, I know you're on some of those committees. I'm not sure about the hearings itself, but some of the people that you guys have to approve in the Senate, some of these people who want to come to a judge position or a position within the administration that needs Senate approval, some of these people are really, really far left.
Well, we had one yesterday, Paul, in the Energy Hearing Committee, a nominee, Tracy Stone Manning, for the Bureau of Land Management. Really important job. The worst nominee I have ever been involved in, and it was hashed out.
I want you to hold on, because if people don't know this, she was the one that actually was putting spikes in trees where when the lumberjacks came to clear the land or cut the trees down or whatever, they would break their chainsaws, or better still for them, maybe get injured in the process. And she is joining the Biden administration. It is absolutely amazing. Ted Cruz grills a couple of people, as well as Lindsey Graham. We'll get back with Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith in a moment. We'll be back with Cindy Hyde-Smith. You were talking about some of the people before, and this one woman from what's the BLM?
Montana.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yes, and when they bring these horrible nominees before us, that we have letters, copies of letters that they admitted writing that they were part of that lace with just total vulgarities from this woman. And then Bernie Sanders, he popped up and he said, wait a minute. He said, you guys, we want to talk about January the 6th. And if you go back and look at the clip, I immediately intervened and said, there is no way you're going to throw a distraction in here. Away from this woman, we are focused today on the director of the Bureau of Land Management. We are not focused on anything else, and we're not going to let you throw in these distractions.
So not only you just heard from, I think they were grilling Thomas Vilsack, and that was from Ted Cruz as far as the border is concerned. And there were a couple of stories out this morning that the chaos along the border, certainly in Texas and some of those border towns in Texas, the sheriffs, the mayors, the people, everybody just in arms because it is chaos there. And my thought was, if you guys are going to continue trying to turn Texas blue, this is not the way to do it.
Oh, no. They're playing, their cards in that direction, and it's not working. Because the people down there that are close to that border and throughout the state of Texas, they are sick of this. They see the results up close. And you know what? People don't realize. They say, oh, but it's about the people. What about the fentanyl that's coming across that border? What about, the people that are coming through here by the droves, literally, that are human traffickers? And that's what we're experiencing right now is the results of those things.
Well, we are also seeing that play out in other places. I mean, we had, about 50 or so illegals, and I'm not sure where they were from. They could have been from all across Latin America, maybe from other countries. They were dumped off in Natchez for a while. So a lot of places are seeing this and unannounced. And what happens to these people, whether they get back on the bus or not, we have no earthly idea. What are we looking for? Should we look for next week when you guys return?
Well, again, we're going to just play defense as much as we can. We want to get a genuine infrastructure plan. Mm-hmm. That is certainly our goal in doing that. And, just trying to get some numbers to work the budget off of. And that's just a difficult situation that we're in right now because we're dealing with the folks that it is truly incredible, the mindset. Mm-hmm. They just want to spend, and taxes with no way to pay for it. Nothing coming up as a pay for. So, as you said earlier, it's kind of like the parent that wants to spend and the parent that wants to be responsible. Somebody's got to be the adult in the room here. And it's a challenge. It really is a challenge to try to keep things in line. And, thank goodness right now we can still have the filibuster. That's going to be the basis of our success. We just hope that we can continue to have that.
Any update as far as the Yazoo pump situation?
Well, actually, yesterday, Senator Wicker had the opportunity in the Environmental and Public Works Committee subcommittee meeting, to mention that. And, we are in a good position there. We're not there, but we're in a good position, Paul. So, we're still continuing to put it before everyone, all the players that are pertinent to making this happen. And it's just, it is a environmental injustice is what it is, what's happened here. So we're getting traction on that. And I continue to feel good about that. Yeah. And, and I'm painfully honest. So if that changes, I would tell you, it may be going down the tubes, but right now we're in a good position.
It is. Well, that's the only good position anybody's in, because in Washington, D.C., things are surreal. I mean, and not only that, if you get behind the scenes and you talk to people, it's just there's the midterm seems so far away because of what could happen in that span of time. When you start looking at the cognitive abilities of this guy, we are put in a position that we've never been in our lifetime. Number one, worrying about his health because we see who's in the vice president's position. So I mean, it's just a weird time in this country's history.
It really is. And today I'm here to talk to the circuit clerks about S1. the election law that they're trying to federalize all elections. And even going through this, I'm on the Rules Committee, so I'm very familiar with this bill and the things that they put in it. It's totally impossible to implement these voting laws in the time frame that they're giving us, and the technology that we would have to implement in 6 months. The technology hasn't even been developed. So that's how ridiculous this stuff is. And so these clerks are very concerned about this and the nightmare for all the circuit clerks around our nation. And, to think that it's called for the People Act, it is just totally unbelievable, the devastation that this would do. And it is created by a mindset of let's make it legal of the easiest way to cheat. And it is throughout the entire bill that is just so evident. But it would put Washington, D.C. in charge of all the elections, and that's exactly what they want. And so many people say, well, they know that 2022 elections are coming up. They know they're in trouble, especially on the House side. They know that House could easily flip to Republican. So it doesn't matter. They're trying to do as much damage as they can possibly do, pass what they can possibly pass, and they're not looking down the road at all. They say if we lose it, we've already gotten all this stuff that we wanted and all the spending in there that we want, including this election law that is totally outrageous. It's pretty bad. Been wasting millions of dollars. So incredible. It's a challenge every day, but I'm honored to do it for the people of Mississippi. I can assure you that.
U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. Well, number one, doing away with the voter ID law that we put into practice here, and very successfully, too, as far as federal election is concerned, would be something that would be absolutely ridiculous. And here's the thing that's so amazing, adding to the surreal. Most of the people, and they know this, they do a pretty darn good job of internal polling. They know that most of the people in this country don't mind the voter ID, and even African Americans by a large majority, but they press on.
Oh, exactly. And, it would decertify every single voting machine in the entire nation. A brand new voting machine would have to be bought to fully replace what we have now. And like I said, the technology hasn't even been created. So it is just amazing the things that are in here it is impossible. You wrote a bill that's impossible to fulfill, but you're going to push it anyway. And the voter ID has people so up in arms because, it's worked. It's in our Constitution. We would have to create two sets of voter rolls in Mississippi if this were to pass, because it's in the Mississippi Constitution of the voter ID. And it's a lot of craziness, but we just got to manage it and get through it to the other side to the best of our ability.
Final question here. Are there rumors that the Biden administration will reimpose the mask mandate on a nationwide basis, or any buzz in Washington about that?
I really haven't heard chatter about that this week. It's been discussed, I'm sure, in some circles, but right now in D.C., we feel like we're going to be okay for a while, but that could change tomorrow, that they could come back in with a mask mandate. The most fun I have had on the Senate floor was this week when I got to ring that Mississippi State cowbell and celebrate those dogs winning the College World Series. So pretty good week right there for something positive that we could celebrate. And everybody on the Senate floor said, we are sure that's the first time a cowbell has ever been rang on the Senate floor.
How about that? Anything positive in Washington is like an oasis in the desert. So you could use it.
Yeah.
Cindy, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it very much. Always good talking to you.
Thank you.